Okay, so you're ready to print and assemble the limited edition DVD insert, and your document obviously is going to have much more interesting stuff on it than mine. The first thing you're going to want to do is in layer, this should have been set up as a template layer, and when this is set to template, it means this layer won't print, so these crop marks and score marks won't print if this is left on template. So that's the first thing we want to do, is untemplate this. And then pretty much ready to print. You want to make sure you've got some bleed going over your panels. So that's going past. So any solids that you have in the background, you want to make sure that those go past those boxes a little bit, or your panels. And then we're ready to print, so File Print or Command P. And your interface is going to come up looking something like this. And we're going to be tiling these, and if you try and tile it, that's interesting. Normally this comes up, if I do that, maybe, okay, so I printed one page, so normally this is going to come up and these are going to be grayed out on you. So if you turn Ignore Artboards on, then you'll have access to tile full pages. So turn that on and set this to landscape or horizontal, and then tile full pages. And as you can see, we're getting four sheets of paper, so that's 2 for each side, and that's what I originally intended. Now what you're going to want is some overlap, and you want at least ½ an inch, but probably 3/4 to an inch. So if you put in 0.75 inches, you're okay. If you want more than that, say an inch, which is 72 points, and you see that it's going to tile this to six pages, and that's coming from because you have these crop marks and they're sticking out. So if you want a little bit more than, say, 3/4 of an inch, like I'm going to do the demo with 66 points in here, and I've still got it tiling on 6 pages, so I'm going to hit Done and hit my A key, get the direct select tool, and I'm just going to take those, hold the shift key down, and that's going to move those 10 points. And now when I go to print with the 66, I'm on 4. If we crank that up, obviously it's going to go back to 6. So we could sit here and fiddle around and figure out exactly what the point at which it gives us 4 pages. I'm just going to leave this at 66. And that's pretty much it. That's really all you have to set up in here. If you decided to go with overprint, if you wanted to work in that mode, you would need to select Advanced and turn Simulate Overprint Colors on. If you are doing that, just talk to me, and it's not a big deal. You just switch that on. Okay, so that's it. I'm going to hit print and then end this video and pick up in the other room, do some videotaping, some recording of actually cutting this thing together. Okay, so we're picking this up in the other room. Cut and paste this together. You'll need a good cutting mat, nice sharp blade, cutting edge, tape, any tape, doesn't matter in this case. Very important, large paper clip, you'll see why. Spray mount, this is in the kit. You don't have to have this, but you can use it at the end to kind of make it all very flat. Okay, so the first thing you're going to want to do is get these assembled so that you have 2 complete sheets. And you can see our center center score mark. So you have that overlap. Some of you may have already done some of this kind of thing. Okay, and what you're going to want to do is, I'm going to take the right side and just slice off one side. Same thing, you want to put your knife down first on a crop mark and then slide your cutting edge up to it and then get the top part lined up and just cut that. Okay. And now this next part, you want to do some spraying outside because it's primarily, you don't want the fumes and you don't want the overspray getting on everything. For the sake of the demo, then do this in here. And what you want is you just want a little bit of glue on that edge. So what I'm going to do is lay this down here. And then I'm going to cover that up so that I get glue just on that edge. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just don't want the whole thing because we're going to be working with it. So just need a little bit on that edge. Yeah, probably got some overspray on there. And again, you can use the cardboard or lay down some paper outside. Otherwise, the fumes are going to linger in here forever. And so the next thing you're going to have, if you slice this perfectly, you'll even see a little tiny bit of black on there. Obviously, you're going to just take this and use those crop marks. Just lay that down like that. Okay, I'm going to do the other one. I'm going to stop the video and do the outside. And we'll come back in a second. Okay, we're back. And we've got the two sheets. And you're going to want to spray mount these together, but you can't just put them together like that. The registration is not going to be correct. If we had a light table, it'd be easier to just kind of slide it around the light table and get it hooked up, but we don't. So you'll hold this up to the light and get it lined up a little bit like that. And the other trick to getting this, I want to make sure, obviously, this is going to read correctly. So you want to slice off a little bit right here. And you want it relatively straight, because what we're going to do is kind of line it up, get it lined up. So I'm just going to take a little bit off that edge. So this is shorter than this piece, because what we're going to do is get it lined up. And it also helps, the light comes through this piece and you can see those top marks. You could also take off some here and here, which would also make it easier to line it up. It's up to you. It's just one extra step. Probably don't need to do both sides. Main thing though is you want to make sure that you keep your crop marks. Okay, so the next step, make sure this is correct. And I'm just going to hold this up to the light. I'm going to step out of frame for a second because there's no way to really video this. I'm holding this up to the light and just lining up those crop marks, and you can see through it. We have a light table here, but I tried turning it on. It doesn't turn on, so you kind of have to wing it a little bit. Okay, so once you get it lined up, lay it back down, and you take a little bit of tape. And what you've done now is kind of made a hinge. And it would have been a good idea for me to, normally I don't slice those off, but it's probably a good idea. It does make it easier to see. The light comes through and you can see where to position this. Okay, so the idea is that you have this hinge and it's lined up, and now we're going to spray some spray mount on here, and then just gently lay that down like that. Okay, so again, the idea is take this outside, spray your spray mount on here, and I'm going to stop this video and actually go do that because I have to spray a lot. So I'm going to take this outside and spray it and bring it back in. Okay, so I took that outside, and actually I sprayed the smaller piece so that this wasn't covered because I want to get it all over everything. All right, and then you just want to take this and just lay that down so you don't get air bubbles in it. Make sure your hands are clean during all this as well. If you're spraying some spray mount and then you were adjusting this and you got some on your fingertips, before you move on to the next stage, it's a good idea to wash your hands. Okay, so this is the accordion fold, which means, let's see, is it, I have an accordion part here, so that's our outside, fold like that, yeah, okay. So for the score marks, what you want to do for the accordion fold is you want one score, you always want to score on the side it's going to fold into. So here's your score mark here, and this is going to fold like that. So you want the score mark on this side. This part is going to end up folding like that. So you want the score on this side. And what you're doing is essentially you're reproducing what's going to happen when this is actually manufactured or printed. It's going to go through, they have automated machines that just put the scores on there. Okay, so I'm going to do the outside, which only needs the center. And it's the same as cutting with the knife. Just get your paper clip right on a score mark, and then slide. And with the paper clip, it's kind of tricky because you have to compensate for the thickness. It's not a knife blade. So you want to get this on there and then make sure this top part slid a little bit away from that line up there. And this is the part that can kind of screw you up, because if you score this wrong, when you fold this, and you're all done and you fold it, it might end up a little cocked. So I'm not sure if the light's picking that up. You can see the score mark. Flip this over. Same thing. You I'm going to do these scores here. And if you're doing the gatefold, just take a piece of paper before you score it and just figure out where the folds are and put them on the right side. All right, so maybe the light's picking that up. I can't really look in the camera at the same time I'm holding this. Hopefully somewhere in there you catch the light catching the score marks. Okay, so now this is scored, and all we have left to do is cut this apart. Now, that's the last thing, and what you're going to want to do is don't just pop this down and start cutting, because you don't want to cut away your score marks, your crop marks. Same thing, put your knife down first, right on a mark, put that cutting edge up to it, slide the ruler or the cutting edge to the other mark, and then again, don't just slice this off because you're going to lose your crop marks. Just cut the amount that you need. And this is all part of, designing for print. You have to do these sorts of things, either for client presentations or for your own process. When you're designing, you want to stop now and then and actually put the piece together physically, because it's a completely different experience once you have the physical piece in your hand. You see a lot of things that you don't see on the computer screen, relationships of the things you've designed to the page, how the thing folds, how it's laying out. It's a really good idea to do dummies, and you want to be able to cut this stuff together yourself, because if it's just a dummy, if it's just for you, you don't want to run out to big shots and have this printed and have them do all this. You want to just print it out and cut it together, fold it, make whatever decisions you're going to make, and move on. Okay, so we've got this all cut out, and we've got our score mark here. That's right. So this is going to fold, and because the score marks, this is just going to fold real nice, right? You're not going to have to force anything or sit there and try and fold this correctly. You've already got your score marks. Now this is because you have you've got 4 pieces of paper here. You've got to be a little bit careful folding that. Just a little bit inaccurate, but it's not bad. And it's going to kind of bounce up like that. Don't have a piece of paper, do I? You can kind of take this, and you want to make sure you have a piece of paper on top of it if you're going to use something like this. And that's it. It's all cut together, folding nicely, front, back.